The Louie Tee Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Game Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Commanders fall for the 10th time this season, 5th in a row. Dropped to 4-10 with the 28-20 loss to the Los Angeles Rams. Sam Howell benched mid stages of the fourth. Jacoby Brissett comes in, 8 of 10, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, gives them a shot at the end. I felt like the end of this game was like a microcosm of our season, but really just the Ron Rivera tenure as a whole. I watched them systematically break a young, talented quarterback, bench him for no reason at the end of the game. This is the same group that left Sam Howell for dead in a game against Buffalo this season, where he was getting pulverized, turning the ball over in a rainstorm, left him in the game and said he needs the reps. But you take him out of a game in week 15, down 3 touchdowns, because of what exactly are we trying to do here? This is coming from the same head coach that said he's at peace with whatever is going to happen. You're fired, bro. You're fired. He knows he's fired, which is why he's at peace, because 1, he's changed the culture, and 2, he's found a quarterback, but you're going to bench him in week 15 in the fourth quarter of a game you're down 28-7 in because you found your quarterback, right? Make it make sense. My rebuttal to everybody that's out there, see, the offense runs better with Brissett. Duh. What did you think was going to happen when you put him in the game? The only thing I was disappointed in was it looked like the offensive line all of a sudden figured out how to block, because he was standing back there for 2 freaking hours. Terry had a chance to take a defender who was literally holding on to him, trying to tackle him, throw him off of him, and still run a deep ball and catch it. That's how long Jacoby Brissett had back there to throw him the football. But my biggest issue with anybody that thinks this offense runs more effectively with Jacoby Brissett, my response to that, first and foremost, is duh. But my issue is it's the same thing I said to Panthers fans. Bryce Young has been stinking it up this year, right? That's no secret. Andy Dalton comes in like week 6 against Seattle on the road and throws for 350 yards with the same receivers we talked about. Couldn't get any separation. They weren't this, they weren't that. And they scored, damn near 30 points, which they haven't even come remotely close to with Bryce Young in the lineup. Who gives a shit? Is Andy Dalton the future of the Carolina Panthers or not? Who gives a shit what Andy Dalton can do? So for you Jacoby Brissett dodos out there, who gives a shit what Jacoby Brissett can do? I would have traded his ass at the trade deadline and got a 4th or 5th round pick for him. Who gives a shit what he can do in week 15 of a lost season? Everything that you do from this point forward is supposed to be about the development of Sam Howell or whatever the hell's left of it. I don't know if there's anything left of it after today's ball game. And to take it a step further, because I said that the final 7-8 minutes of the game, starting with benching Sam. Then having the touchdown to Terry. Terry finally can catch now all of a sudden. Jacoby comes in. Now he can catch all of a sudden. But you get all the way, and this is another knock on Terry. Bro, score the goddamn touchdown on the second one. Do everything in your power to cross the goal line. It's not hard. You're getting tackled. Stretch the damn football out. What are you doing? What do you do? Bracing for contact with the ground? Score. We shouldn't have even been in a position where we got to spend 2.5 minutes trying to score a damn touchdown for the 1 freaking yard line. The best receivers in the league are, bro, you got 3 receiving touchdowns on the season. You don't want 4? You're not starving? You're not hungry? The pit of your stomach isn't growling for a touchdown? You don't want it that bad? Stretch the damn football out. And then here's my favorite part of this whole scenario. Here's my favorite part. We get to the 1 yard line. This offensive line is incapable of creating enough space and daylight to get 1 freaking yard, right? I'm not mad at the play calling. At this point, at least, I'm not mad at the play calling because you should be able to run the football in. You can't run it in on first down. Oh, Jacoby Brissett's one of the best sneaking quarterbacks in NFL history. What do you do on second down? Quarterback sneak it. You should have did that on the first snap. You lost yards on the first down run. So now the quarterback sneak isn't as close as it was on the previous snap. Where's your brain at? I digress. Clock's running. Tick, 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 tick. Now we want to throw it. Pass interference, right? Okay, fine. All right. Now you're back all the way to the 11-yard line or whatever it is. You throw a little underneath route. Tick, 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 tick. You're just going to let it run to the 2-minute warning, huh? Right? So you get the pass interference to Terry, and you try to run it again. Obviously, it doesn't work. Tick, 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 tick. So at some point, you got to say to yourself, and this is the same offense that refuses to run the football in 3rd and 4th and 1 and short. But now we get down here. All of a sudden, they're obsessed with running this football in. Tick, 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 tick. So in a situation like that, you should be throwing the football. It's like going back to the Titans game from last year. You don't have any timeouts. We do in this case, but you can't spend any of them. It's like you don't have them because you need them for defense, right? So it's essentially, hey, these need to be incomplete passes. Either it's a touchdown or it's an incomplete pass. Nope, we want to run the football. And then you're like, all right, EB, I need your best shit, bro. Give me your best 2-point play. Well, what are we doing? Oh, hold on a second. What is he doing? I knocked over my wine. I don't even know how that happened.
Your hands.
I should have put it all the way over there. Man, you ain't even trying to help me or nothing. You just sitting there. Thanks, Mom. I'm over here making a mess. I think I dodged the bullet, though. Whew. That could have been disastrous. Your man is over here being special like the Commanders. Whew. That was almost a disaster, guys. Yikes. Give me 1 second. I'm over here being a janitor playing cleanup on aisle 9. All right. I think we avoided the disaster that almost happened just now. I think we got most of it up. Ooh, that was close. All right. All right. Whew. That was close to near disaster right there. That was as close to a disaster as it gets. Yikes. All right. All right. We should be good now. Whew. I'm mad as hell, too, because I ain't even get to drink my wine. I just spilled most of it. That shit all the way over there now, which is what I should have done in the first damn place. I know my damn hands are active, especially when I get riled up. All right. I don't even remember what I was talking about. But we needed, I think I left off it. We needed EB's best offensive play from essentially the 2-yard line to get us in the end zone. And we can't get in the end zone. We struggling. And we were down there with 4 minutes and some change left. I just remember it was 4. The first number started with a 4. We don't score until on the wrong side of the 2-minute warning, which is just amazing. What's that? Oh. That's fine. I didn't expect him to not be this quarterback next week. Yeah. They did it for a spark, but my point is, for what? What was the spark about? My wife just showed me that Ron Rivera said at the press conference that Sam is still the QB1. Duh, I know that. That's not the point. The point is, what's the point of benching him? You needed a spark? That's what you chasing a spark? This late in the season, in week 15, you chasing a spark? Down 3 touchdowns? Like, that's my point, is this staff has been clueless since day one, right? Quarterbacks get benched all the time, come back, play well, et cetera, et cetera. My whole point is, why are we doing this? Bay, can you plug this up for me? It's disconnected right here. Plug this up. See the piece that came out? Thank you. All right. I think we stabilized the situation. That was a near disaster right there. I think we stabilized everything. All right. So we needed EB's best play from the 2, and it took us literally 2.5 minutes to score a touchdown. And to me, that sums up what this team has been offensively for the season. It sums up decision-making by this group. And then, of course, you scored a touchdown, right? Finally. And the extra point gets blocked. Go figure, right? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And I didn't even see the extra point get blocked. I went upstairs. Once they benched Sam, I was half watching, half, eating. I went and ate dinner. I any interest in the game, because I told you I'm only outside for Sam. Anything else doesn't really move the needle for me at this point. So once they benched Sam, I went and ate, and I started getting ready for the show, and I went and groomed myself and all that stuff. I got ready, started setting stuff up. So I wasn't really watching the game. Like, when they scored the touchdown, I saw that, and I went upstairs and I started getting ready. And then my wife's like, they got the extra point blocked. I said, are you surprised? I'm not. That's what this group is. And I'm assuming they kicked an onside kick. I didn't see. I'm assuming they kicked an onside kick, because by the time I got back downstairs, the Rams had the football and they were at the plus 40-yard line. And they had already gotten a gain of 8 on first down. So, like, how stupid could you be? Like, this whole notion of you get 2 cracks at getting the football. Hey, dummy, if you don't recover the onside kick, but your defense gets a stop, guess what? If they punt the ball, now you have to go even further for a touchdown. Stupid. Kick the football off deep and try and get a 3 and out and get better field position, dum-dum. One team has recovered an onside kick in the NFL this season. One. Out of 29 tries, one successful onside kick. You think you're going to be the team that gets the second one? Yeah, right. Kick the damn ball off deep and try to get a stop. Use all 3 of your timeouts and get the ball back with about 1:42 seconds left and having the need to drive the length of the field, but at least you're getting the ball at the 27 or at the 33 after the punt instead of you having to force a punt and who knows? They were already in field goal range. It's inside. After you kick the onside kick, like, what are we doing? This staff is so dumb. Like, they can't get out of here fast enough. Can we just fast forward to the part where Ron Rivera and everybody's fired so we can just get the offseason started? This shit is ridiculous. I mean, it really is at this point. What are we doing? Like, I'm so over this shit. Like, really. So you bench Sam. You can't get in the end zone. You get your extra point blocked. And then you kick an onside kick. Where's the psychological sense in that? In any of that shit? Where is it? I'm at a loss. Like, what are you aiming to gain by benching Sam Howell at the end of this game? You won't take him out when he's getting pulverized behind an inferior offensive line because he needs reps. Now you're at the end of the season where the reps are valuable and you're running out of them, and you want to bench him because of what exactly? I need clarification on what we're doing here. What's the move? What are we trying to gain? What are we looking to do? You can't tell me that we found our quarterback, but you're willing to bench him down 3 scores on the road in the fourth quarter. Unless this was like the Dallas game and you're just giving up, you're waving the white flag and you're going to bring Jacoby Brissett into the game to hand it off and get out of there. Unless that's what you're doing, what's the point? Sam was having a rough go of it. I'm not sitting here telling you he had a great game. He didn't have a great game. But it's the same shit that we've watched for the last month with this offense. Poor play calling. The offensive line is getting bum rushed, and Sam's not processing things fast enough to me, if you ask me. And guys aren't getting separation either. It's the same shit we've been talking about. Jacoby Brissett comes in, and it looks like the offense is magically fixed. I find it hard to believe that the offense just looked that much better with him in there at the end. It did. I'm telling you what we watched. It did. But I don't know if that's the Rams, a byproduct of the Rams just saying to hell with it, or what happened. Charles Leno gets hurt. They put in Cornelius Lucas. Magically, the protection gets better. I don't know. I mean, I wish I had an answer for you, because Jacoby Brissett stood back there for 20 seconds every single time he dropped back to throw. And I'm like, where has this protection been all day? And maybe the Rams weren't as aggressive. Maybe Cornelius Lucas is just better than Charles Leno. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. Other than maybe Sam just stinks, and maybe that's true too. I watched them take this man's confidence and put it in the toilet. And I'm not telling you he's Mac Jones at this point, that he's incapable of leading an NFL offense. But he ain't the same Sam that I watched earlier this season. That's for damn sure. I can assure you of that. I mean, this staff has systematically taken this man and broke him down. It is what it is. This shit can't be over fast enough. I've already told you, I'm not tied to anybody. That includes Sam. If the new GM comes in here and he wants to get a quarterback, I'm all for it. My question is, are you going to build this offensive line? Because you're going to be doing the same shit that we just witnessed for the last month if you don't fix the offensive line. And you don't have to fix it, obviously. You don't have to fix it. with the number 3 or 4 overall pick in the draft. You can find tackles elsewhere. Second, third round. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's possible. But we'll see. It's an argument and a conversation that, frankly, I'm tired of arguing with individuals about, because everybody's opinion is different. You know, the only people I can't talk to about this are the ones that want Sam to suck so they can say, I told you so. We need a quarterback. Those type of people, you just need to stay out of my damn face. But at the end of the day, it's a bad team. And I thought the defense, look, they weren't good today. They gave up a 62-yard touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp. He had 100 yards and 6 catches. That's the shit that I said we didn't need to do. Kyron Williams ate us alive. If not for the 2 fumbles, they scored 40 today. So again, like the defense wasn't terrible. They made timely plays that gave us a chance to hang in. The offense just wasn't good enough. And I mean, we could probably go in a myriad of directions as to why it wasn't very good today. But I can tell you, Sam was under duress, like always, early in the game. When he had time, he wasn't particularly accurate today. That's disappointing. And, you know, guys didn't make plays for him. Terry had a chance on the 3rd down to catch a ball, dropped it. You know, Antonio Gibson had a chance to catch a ball cleanly. It wasn't the best pass from Sam, but if he catches that cleanly, there's a chance to get that 1st down, a better ball from Sam, and he's turning the corner and running up the sideline. But again, it was not a good game from Sam, right? But I don't think it was a well-called game. There was 1 3rd down that I watched, and this has been one of the issues with EB for me. Is like, bro, it's 3rd and 7, and we got guys, everybody's running 15-yard comebacks. All 3, we got 3 receivers out on the route. 15-yard comebacks. The Rams are bringing a 6-man blitz, and we got 15-yard comebacks. 15 back to 12. Are you kidding me? Or are you joking? Are you serious right now? That's what we're doing? 15 back to 12 when we need 7 yards and the pressure is coming, and our offensive line, you know damn well, can't hold up? You got to be shitting me. But again, that's what happens when you have the kind of incompetence that we have and have had all season long. It's hard to watch, but this is who we've been. This is who we are. And, you know, it's a sad state of affairs. I'm not looking forward to next week's game. That Jets defense, their offense, Zach Wilson got hurt today. I don't know if he's playing next week. Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure he's not going to play next week. Like, the Jets stink. There's no reason for him to come out and risk injury, trying to prove what exactly at 40 years old, right? This could be 3-0 next week. Real talk. This could be the Raiders and the Vikings all over again next week. And I'm just not looking forward to the rest of this season. And for me, I've already told you how I feel about Sam, and that hasn't changed. I really would like to see Sam just get a clean slate. Give him a do-over. Give him a better offensive coordinator. Get him a better offensive line and a better scheme, and give him the confidence that, hey, we're going to turn this thing around. Go get him Ben Johnson, who probably likes Sam. I can't tell you how he feels about Sam, but he coached him at the Senior Bowl. I think there's a rapport there. Like, let's hit the reset button on this thing. That's how I feel about this. It's ridiculous that we got to watch 3 more games of this, because it's not going to get too much better. And honestly, I wouldn't have been upset if they started Jacoby Brissett next week against that Jets defense. And I would love to see how he would do next week against the Jets. I'd love to see that. Because what's probably going to happen is Sam's going to get his ass reamed next week. They're going to tear his shit up, pause. And he's going to look just as bad as he did this week, next week. And people, see. He sucks ass. We need a quarterback. And, I mean, what did you think was going to happen? I thought he would play better. I'm not going to lie to you. But I also thought they would. Did we see a screen today? Other than the one that Sam threw 80 million miles per hour to the guy that was right in front of him. Again, it was not a good game for Sam. But did we see one wide receiver screen today? We saw 2 in a row by the Rams on the first possession of the game. 2 in a row. Did we see one from Washington today? I know we threw one slant. Terry is like, nah, I'm good on that slant. I'm going to pass. Thanks. I mean, how about, I thought this was a West Coast offense, a variation of the West Coast offense. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought this was some variation of the West Coast. What happened to the short, quick pass game? I don't even know if I saw one little hookup from the tight end that we usually get where I'm like, okay, enough of that shit already. I don't even know if I saw one of those today. Till he checked down to Logan Thomas on a like a 2nd and 12. And he got 7. Like, what is EB even doing anyway? Like, what are we practicing for all week long? Because I feel like we get to the game and the shit just looks ridiculous. Jahan Dotson I guess he was running cardio today. He was getting some cardiovascular work in because he didn't get a single target until Jacoby Brissett came in the game. And again, don't ask me why. Sam could have not seen him. Sam could have been, coming off of the first read too quickly, or he just wasn't open. I don't know. I just know it's impossible. If you're trying deliberately to get the ball to your best players, it's impossible not to. I watch too much football for there to be any excuse. There isn't one that you can give that makes any kind of sense. Not a single one. If you want Terry McLaurin to have 18 targets, he can have 18 targets. If you want Jahan Dotson to have 12 targets, he can have 12 targets. I'm not guaranteeing he's going to have 12 catches, but if you want him to have 12 targets, he can have 12 targets. So not throwing him the football is not an excuse. Because you can manufacture touches for him. Whether he's getting open or not, you can throw him a wide receiver screen. You can throw him a slant. I'm like the little things I'm still questioning. Like the third down drop by Terry when he gets hit. You're like, oh, Sam's throwing hospital balls. So this is how I was coached. If you played football before, you can back me up on this if you know how this rule goes, okay? If it's man coverage on a shallow cross, you just keep on running, all right? You just keep running on. Just keep running, right? If it's zone, you stop, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Terry's just moseying on through the zone, linebacker waiting for him on the other side. Like, when are you going to stop and hitch up, my man? Like, that's what I'm waiting on. He never does. So Sam throws him right where he's going, right into the linebacker. Still should have caught the damn football. What are we doing, man? Seriously, what are we doing? Yeah, this was just frustrating watching this game. Frustrating watching the offensive line, frustrating watching the play calling, frustrating watching Sam's play because he didn't play well. Frustrating watching the Rams do the things that they were doing offensively, but we already went into the game knowing the defense wasn't going to fare well. I'm shocked that they only scored 28, but again, largely due in part to the fact that they turned it over on those 2 fumbles. Without them, this game is clearly out of control. We're never even remotely close in this football game, if not for the 2 fumbles. Shout out to Deron Payne. He had 2 sacks on the day. Good for him. He looked refreshed. And I remember telling the mob early in the game, the defensive front looks refreshed. They looked vibrant. They were flying around. But Cam Cheeseman has to go. And look, I don't expect any changes. I don't want any changes this late in the season because I don't give a shit at this point. Okay. But he can't be here next year. Add him to the list of guys where he can't be here. It's not optional. If he's back, we have a problem. Okay. I don't know what happened to him this offseason. and what happened to his ability to just snap the ball the way he had done the 2 previous seasons. But clearly something happened. He's got some type of mental block or something, because the man threw a ground ball back there that nearly got Tressway trampled over. Then on the extra point after the first touchdown, Tress, he threw another ground ball. Tress had to pick the bitch up. I mean, we got to get Cam Cheeseman the hell out of here, man. What did Coach Boyu say when he was running the 40 at the beginning of the movie? Y'all know what he said. I'm looking at Cheeseman. I'm like, cut his ass. Get his ass out of here, man. The guy's horrible. Cut his ass. And to think, we traded back up, lost a 5th round pick the next year in the draft to get this clown. Unreal. Unbelievable. Enough of me ranting. Let's hear what you guys have to say. I don't really have too much for you after this game. Just so disappointed in how this whole situation was handled, and I feel like it was mangled at the end of this game in so many different ways, but I digress. Zoe Life, No Life, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Terry is worth a 2nd round pick for some people. Clown. I'm going to reiterate this. If you think Terry McLaurin is the problem, I don't really have much to say to you. Terry McLaurin can play football. And I said this last night, and I know a lot of you probably didn't watch, which is fine. But I talked about the Detroit Lions offense. And I would take our guys over their receivers. They have a stud tight end. We don't. They have a speed back. We don't. But and they have a complete offensive line. We don't. So those are the 3 components that they don't have. Sam Howell can be Jared Goff. He's better than Jared Goff, if you ask me. With protection, obviously. Protection, a better plan, a run game where you don't have him dropping back, staying in the shotgun, 40 some odd times in a game. He could be Jared Goff, if you ask me. A much better, more athletic, dynamic, off-script guy. But, Jared Goff's extremely accurate with the football, and that's something Sam hasn't been here of late. Was earlier this season, isn't right now, right? But to me, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin is a faster version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if Amon-Ra St. Brown, who already has over 1,100, maybe even 1,200 yards on the season right now, if Amon-Ra St. Brown can do the things he's doing in that offense, you tell me Terry can't and be a legit number 1? Yeah, right. What are we talking about here? I just refuse to believe that. Zoe Life, No Life, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, good mental or not? Ron killed 2 quarterbacks. Clown. I can't speak for, how many quarterbacks he's killed here. I just know I'm watching and witnessing him murder one for sure in Sam Howell. I can't speak for anything else that he's done here, but I'm watching the senseless, brutal murder of Sam Howell's career here in Washington, and it's a damn shame. But he didn't do this by himself. He authorized the hit. Okay, he authorized. Hey, look, I was bamboozled. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, just like everybody else did. We were still sold a bill of goods on what Eric Bieniemy was going to be for this offense, and clearly he's not that. But it is what it is. DMV Bay, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, more questions than answers with Sam. We need to grab Jalen Daniels if we have a chance in the first round. He looks beat up physically and mentally. Right now, there are more questions than answers. And like I said, you go back to week 10 and there were way more answers than questions at that point. But you fast forward to a team that is defeated, a staff that knows that the end is near, and this is the end result that you get. We're not a good football team. We're not playing well, and we're not being coached well, but we haven't, and that's been the theme of the season. So nothing's different in that regard. And it is what it is, man. Again, I have to rewire my brain on these quarterbacks because there's only one that I really think is all that capable to come in the league and be what you guys want him to be, and that's Caleb Williams. And we're not getting Caleb Williams. More likely than not. I can't say that for certain because if the Bears decide to hold on to Justin Fields, which is not out of the realm of possibility, then they will be trading that pick and someone will be able to come up and get him. If the Bears decide to take him, then I'm not interested in any of these other quarterbacks, to be honest with you. I got to watch these guys and I got to sell myself on one of them because I watched a lot of Jaden Daniels at Arizona State, at LSU. And before this year, I didn't see it. So I'm not sure that I buy it. You know, I know he throws a beautiful deep ball. So did Sam prior to this year. I don't know if I see it with any of these quarterbacks. I don't love Drake May. I'm not a Michael Penix Jr. fan. Never have been. Probably never will be. And I'm not a massive Jaden Daniels fan. Like Caleb Williams is the one guy that I would be willing to move on from Sam for. But again, everybody likes the new shiny toy. Okay, till you get the toy and you realize this shit ain't that much better than the thing we already had. But we'll see. You know, I'm gonna watch some film. I don't want to be judgmental on these guys because of their past transgressions. Okay. Because all of these dudes went to other schools, you know, weren't all that great there, went to the next school, were okay, but again, you know, but we'll see. You know, I've watched Daniels play this year a little bit, and I've been impressed with some of the throws he's made. But I can say the same thing for Bo Nix, and I don't love Bo Nix. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Trust me. Jaden Daniels will be available wherever we pick. He's not going to be that highly regarded. I don't think he could end up shooting up to the number 2 quarterback. I do see a path to which he could be the number 2 quarterback after Caleb Williams is selected and then Drake May is on the board. I could see a scenario where that happens. The man's won the Heisman Trophy, and we know how the process goes. All it takes is one team to fall in love with him, like the Patriots, for instance, and bada bing, bada boom. You know, Jaden Daniels is your number 2 overall pick. But, you know, this entire time it's been Williams and then May. We'll see if that holds up. If it doesn't, you know, we'll see what the teams behind them, i.e. Arizona, Washington, decide to do. But we'll see what happens. Zoe Live, No Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lucas comes in for Leno and no pressures. Nada. I mean, shit. You also got to take into consideration that you also had Nick Gates coming to the game. Like, it wasn't just Cornelius Lucas coming in for Charles Leno. Tyler Larson didn't finish the game because he never finishes the season. And Gates had to come in. And I think that's part of the reason we couldn't run the damn ball worth a damn down by the goal lines because Nick Gates, you know, Nick Gates is at best is questionable in terms of his physicality. So, hey, look, man, I just know that there was great protection for Jacoby Brissett when he came in the game. I can't explain that. I don't really know what the hell was going on because he was back there building the house. Bay. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Mike Jink writes, the week I finally benched McLaurin in fantasy, shaking my head. Oh, man. Look, I don't blame you, you know. And had they not benched Sam Howell, maybe this never happened. Maybe it still happens. I don't know. I still don't understand why they did what they did. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that sucks that you benched him because it would have been even worse had he scored that second touchdown, which he should have, but he didn't. Then you really would have been kicking yourself. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what up, Lou? What's up, Rob? Man, this season can't end fast enough. Who you telling? I'm like at wit's end with this season. Like at this point now, I'm like, just clear the building, man. Like I don't want to watch this shit anymore. I'm over it, bro. As over it as I've been with a season, probably since 2019. I'm just over it at this point. I don't want anymore. Seriously, like after they benched Sam today, like I lost all like enthusiasm for the rest of the season. I know he's gonna start next week and he's probably gonna be the starter the rest of the season, but that was a bitch ass move. That was a bitch ass move. And I don't appreciate the shit. Because again, the only thing that Sam needs at this point is just reps, good or bad. And if he continues to dig himself a hole, so be it. That's not for us to decide. That's for the next GM to decide what they're going to do with the pick, wherever it is, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, wherever it ends up being. That's not for us to decide. It's for the GM to decide. And I already told you, whatever that GM decides to do, I'm rolling with it. I'm rocking with it. As much as I want to see Sam be the quarterback here, because I think he can play and play at a high level, I may add, that's not for me to decide. Whatever they decide to do, I just want them to be right because I'm sick of losing. That's what I care about. My pride, my ego, I don't give a shit about that. I started a campaign. I've started campaigns. I started Ron's plan. How did that go, right? Like, I don't give a shit about a failed campaign. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't care about being right. I just want to win. And to me, the fastest path to winning is holding on to Sam, building the offensive line, getting Ben Johnson in here, and changing our identity and revamping the way we think and how we do things. That's because you're getting a quarter. If you draft a rookie, the likelihood is he's not going to come in here and be CJ Stroud and be in the middle of the MVP conversation. That's not the norm, guys. Open your eyes. Okay, that's not the norm in this league. The likelihood is he's going to come in here, he's going to struggle, he's going to make some plays that makes you go ooh and ah, and he's also going to throw interceptions, turn the football over, and we're going to be doing this same song and dance. We're going through all of the growing pains now so that hopefully we wouldn't have to do it next year. And if you draft a rookie, we're going to have to do this shit all over again. And I'm trying to avoid that because I don't want another year like this year. I just don't. I really think you can win if you just bring in more competent coaches. You spruce up this roster a bit. I think you can win next season. I'm not saying win big. You're not going to be 4-13. You're not going to be 5-12. But if you go with a quarterback, the likelihood is we'll be right back where we are right now. Maybe give or take two wins, maybe. You know, maybe you're 6-11 next year instead of, 5-12. I still think we're going to win a game. And I know this sounds crazy, but still think we're going to beat the Jets next week. If we don't beat the Jets next week, Dallas won't need week 18 after the performance we saw today. They won't need week 18. You'll win one of those two games, whether it's Dallas in week 18 or it's the Jets next week. You'll win one of those two games. Okay. I think you'll get to 5-12, and that's the best you can hope for, right? 4-13. If you don't beat the Jets and somehow the Cowboys need week 18, you could end up 4-13, which is probably what we should be because we stink. But for those of you who think, oh, you just get a new quarterback and magically you wave a wand and everything's fixed, what fantasy world are you living in? What fantasy world are you living in where you think a rookie's just going to come in here and have a Robert Griffin III type of season? You're right. You're starting the process all over again. But again, if that rookie quarterback is any good, then you got a shot, right? But we'll see what happens. I'm on board with whatever they decide to do. Says the clock management at the end was disgraceful and the snaps have been an issue since early November. that clock management falls in line with the clock management we've seen from Ronald Rivera coach teams since he got here. When he first got here, remember, we wouldn't use timeouts, and he said we were trying to get the players out of the game safely. Remember, that was the bullshit, and I just chalked it up. Hey, the man just got over cancer, chemotherapy, all of that good jazz. Like, I'm gonna cut him a break, man. Then it was Scott Turner. We'd be down 2-3 scores, and we're still huddling up with 8-9 minutes to go in the game. And you're like, bro, where's the urgency? We don't know how to run a no-huddle offense? And it didn't change this year. It's been the same shit with Eric Bieniemy. We're down by the goal line, and all year long, 3rd down and short, 4th and short, we're throwing the football. We're in shotgun, and we're throwing the ball. Now, all of a sudden, when time is of the essence, now we're under center and we're handing the bitch off. Now we're taking our time. Still huddling up. There was no way that touchdown was supposed to be scored on the south side of the 2-minute warning. Not when you got down there, 1st and goal from the 1 with 4 minutes and some change left. There's no way you were supposed to score that touchdown with 1:50-something left. Are you kidding me? But that's what the clock management has been this entire time since Ronald has taken over. So I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. Neither should you. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, same story, bad O-line and EB lost. Feel like at this point we're repeating ourselves over and over again. It's a broken record. We watch these games every week and we walk away saying the same thing. And, some people are like, is it EB or is it Sam? I don't know. I just know I watch the Cincinnati Bengals have a backup quarterback come in the game, and Jamar Chase gets 13 targets in that first start or the second start. I just know that. I know that I watched the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown went 2 games in a row where he was targeted combined 5 times. 5 times. And so you know what they did last night? Their offensive coordinator made a concerted effort to get Amon-Ra St. Brown touches. And he went over 100 yards and had himself a stellar night, a couple of touchdowns, all that good stuff. All the things that good offensive play callers do. Yet, here we are, Jahan Dotson still running around and getting cardiovascular work in. 1st round pick. Can't get him the football. Unreal. Unbelievable. Reedy Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Reedy Davis, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, Sam had a bad game, but Brissett isn't the answer. And that's, I don't think that's up for debate. Nobody's debating whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Sam. My problem is you're benching Sam in favor of Jacoby Brissett in this particular game. Why? Like, if you were going to bench Sam for poor performance or whatever, then do it at the end of the 3rd quarter. Like, it's the same issue I had with Ronald when he benched Dwayne Haskins for the final time against Carolina back in 2021, where you go, bro, what are you waiting on? If you would have benched him sooner, Heineke might have been able to come in and save that game. Like, what are you aiming to accomplish down 28-7 with 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter? What are you looking to accomplish exactly? I'm at a loss. I am confused as to what is going on right now. That's my problem is, what are you doing? Do you even know at this point? Are you just reaching and grasping for straws? Because that's what it feels like. Hashtag NHL. DMV Bay, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Terry opened all game. One time Sam looked him dead in the eye and didn't throw it. Sam beat up physically and emotionally. I always struggle with the Sam looked him dead in his eyes. You can only look at the helmet stripe and tell. Obviously, when you're not watching the all 22s, you have no idea what Sam's thinking or even where he's looking, for that matter. Who's open? What's the concept? What's the reads? What's the progression? We don't know any of that stuff. We can only assume and guess. But at the end of the day, Sam didn't look comfortable back there. He didn't look comfortable at all. And you could tell, like I told you guys, I think I told you guys this maybe 2 weeks ago. Sam early in the season was standing in there and staring down the gun barrel. There's a throw to Terry. I think it was to Terry in the game down the left sideline that he throws out of bounds, right? And I'm not saying that he would have caught that or Terry had a step or anything like that, but he didn't even give Terry a chance on that ball, right? He saw pressure coming down the pipeline. He drifted backwards and threw it off his back foot and kind of faded away so he wouldn't take the hit. And earlier in the season, Sam would have stood tall, stood in that pocket with confidence. He would have taken a shot, but he would have delivered the football and given Terry a shot at least. Wouldn't have been able to guarantee that it would have been caught, but at least it would have landed in bounds and Terry would have had a shot and maybe gotten pass interference. Maybe he makes the play, but he didn't even give him a shot. He didn't even give him a chance. And that's the difference with Sam right now. And I told you guys that, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm like, he's not standing in there anymore. You know, at the first sign of pressure, he's bailing. Like, you can definitely tell that they've trained him mentally to not take sacks. So his first thing that he's thinking is don't get sacked. And I told y'all this was going to happen. I said, they're going to ruin him by continuing to beat into his skull, don't take a sack, don't take a sack, don't take a sack, don't take a sack. Because eventually what he's going to start doing is he's going to do everything in his power to avoid a sack instead of standing in there and delivering the football, which is what you want. Look, this offensive line isn't going to get any better. It is what it is. So if you're going to tell him not to take a sack, he can't stand back there and deliver the football if you're not going to call plays that allow him to get it out of his hands quickly. So if he's got to stand back there and allow 15-yard routes to develop, he's just going to get the hell out of there. And that's what he's doing. And you can't run an effective offense that way. Strider, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Strider writes, what happened to Sam next year? What happens to Sam? Well, he's still in the contract. They're not getting rid of him. Even if they draft a quarterback, he'll still be here. But if they draft a quarterback, it's over for him here. That doesn't mean he won't get an opportunity somewhere else. It's just over for him here. Because even if, say, Sam ends up playing next year and kills it, but they drafted a guy in the first round, it'll be Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers all over again. You can't draft a guy in the first round top. Phillip Rivers with the number 4 overall pick in that trade with the Giants, number 4 overall, which is where we're going to be. You can't draft a guy 4th overall and just not play him. So it's over for Sam if they draft a quarterback. And, you know, we've talked about this. I don't know if these last 4 games are going to mean like the difference between them drafting a quarterback or not, but it's not going to help Sam if he continues to play poorly, and it's not going to, and it can't hurt him to play well. So, and it definitely doesn't help when Jacoby Brissett comes in and is throwing it all around the yard and the offense looks like it perks up. But at the end of the day, what Jacoby Brissett just did, what they do these final 3 weeks of the season, I've already said, either you recognize what Sam can do. If you believe in him, then you got a plan. What it really boils down to, and we can sit here, we can debate on whether Sam's the guy or not. That, to me, that's an exercise in futility at this point. What it boils down to is, does the next GM of this team love one of these quarterbacks not named Caleb Williams? That's the question. If you only like these quarterbacks, then you need not draft any of them. If you absolutely love one of these other guys and you can get your hands on them, go for it. Go for it. But you got to love a quarterback. You can't like him. Kyle Shanahan drafted Trey Lance liking him. He loved Mac Jones. And Mac Jones probably would have played really well in Kyle Shanahan's offense. But he liked Trey Lance. Others around him loved Trey Lance. I thought Trey Lance would have been the perfect fit for Shanahan's offense. Injuries derailed that, and he never really, stayed healthy enough. And then Brock Purdy comes along, and that's that. You got to love a quarterback, though. That's not a position where you like a guy. If if they love a quarterback, because if you like Sam and you like one of those quarterbacks, what's the difference? You got to love one of these dudes because you're staking your reputation. You come in as the GM and the first thing you do is draft a quarterback and that quarterback doesn't work out, you probably go get fired eventually. Like, that's a pretty big effing decision to make your first year in. Most GMs try to kick that can down the road a bit. Like, I don't necessarily want to tie myself to a new quarterback like that. Like in the case of the Lions, Brad Holmes said, nah, I ain't drafting a quarterback. I'm going to trade for Jared Goff. I know him. I know what he's capable of. If he doesn't work out, I can always say, yeah, I'm going to go get me one. But we'll see what happens, right? It's a great position to be in if you're Washington. Great position. They're going to have a top 5 pick because I can't see them getting any more than 5 wins. And as I told you, all the teams around us are going to continue to have a chance to win ball games. Titans should have won today, right? Saints won. The Giants might be done winning games. We'll see, right? But even if they are done, they've already won 5 games. Like, we're the only 4-win team left. So, and all those 5-win teams, most of them have climbed to 6. Like, we're in the clear here. We're going to have a top 5 pick more likely than not. So, appreciate you, Strider. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Metaphor. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, vegan wine on the keyboard on the PC. Man, it was close. I was trying to destroy some shit over here, man. As many times as I have wine sitting in front of me, I never knock it over. I've been really reckless the last 2 weeks. I spilt water, I want to say like 5-6 days ago, but it was a negligible amount. I was just disappointed that I spilled the water, right? Because it could have been disastrous. I have a lot of, I have a lot of electronics over here. Like, this is not the place for liquids to be spilling. You know what I'm saying? And I need this glass of wine tonight. I need this glass. And we only have 1 bottle. And I poured half of it into my wife's cup. And now my glass is empty. Like, I'm pissed off right now. I needed that glass of wine. You want to talk about somebody pissed off? I'm pissed off right now. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rob Yu writes, bad game for Sam, but I still think he can be the guy. Even thinking about starting a journeyman Brissett who won't be here is crazy. Well, they're not going to start him. Like I said, this wasn't a permanent benching for Sam. They were looking for a spark. My problem with this is, again, you're down 3 touchdowns with 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter of a ball game that is already over, essentially. Like, if you were looking for a spark, why not bench him at the end of the 3rd quarter? They waited until he threw that final pick to finally say, all right, enough's enough. Just let him play the string out. What are we doing? Like, again, you're not destroying his confidence by leaving him out there. You're killing his confidence by taking him out. You're doing more damage to him by taking him out of the game and allowing him to, and maybe him watching Jacoby Brissett go out and play well helps him. I doubt it. I don't think that makes it better on him. I think that makes it worse. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is he didn't play well today. He didn't. He did not play well. Deshaun Creech, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And I thought he would play better. I really did. Who writes, even if Sam isn't the answer, you let him bottom out. We gain nothing by wasting Jacoby play football. Shaking my damn head. And that's my thing is just if he's going to bottom out, if he's going to, I told you just throw Sam in the water because that's what you've been doing all season is you literally took Sam at the beginning of the season and you threw his ass in the deep end and you said, bro, sink or swim. And Sam's been fighting his ass off not to drown this entire season. Fighting. I'm talking about arms are just the swinging, feet kicking, everything just to stay above water, just to take that next breath. If he gonna drown, let him drown. What are we doing here, though? Like, that's the thing that kills me. You had ample times to take him out of ball games this year, and you didn't because you said he needed reps. Now we get to the end of the season where he doesn't need reps anymore. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That's been my issue with this staff all year, is that they've been sending mixed signals all season long. I'm just as confused as I was coming into the season. Like, I'm more confused now. We had a game against the Giants, the second Giants, where we ran the shit out of the football and turned it over. And I'm like, where is this coming from? We practically begged you to run the football this season. You refused to do so. And now against a team where you should be throwing the football all over the yard, you want to run it and shorten the game? That game was over at like 3:36 against the Giants. Like, what are we doing, man? I just don't understand this staff. You got a Bears team. Their entire secondary was hurt against us, if you recall, on that Thursday night. Their entire secondary was injured. And we come out and we're running the football. And we're going 3 and out, running the football, 3 and out, running the football. I'm like, bro, Sam has thrown it 800 times in the first 4 weeks of the season, and now you all of a sudden you got an attack on your conscience and you want to run it against a secondary who can't stop anybody with 4 guys out? Go figure, right? I'm always confused when it comes to this group. Nothing they do ever seems to make sense. I don't know what they were doing, Deshaun. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor, thank you for being a member of the MOBB Rights. Jacoby Love like Carson end of the game versus San Francisco started. That would have been irony at its finest had they, because essentially that's what he just did, right? He scored the touchdown, made it look easy. I remember I got gamed up by Carson at the end of that 49ers game. And I was ready to move on from Taylor for the start of the next game. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think that was the right move, but I wasn't opposed to it. I was like, all right, let's see what Carson has. He looked good at the end of that 49ers game. Went right down through a touchdown pass. But what we later learned is when there's nothing on the line, when there's no pressure, Carson Wentz is awesome. When he's got something to lose, that's when he clams up. And boy, did he ever that next week. His first pass attempt was a pick. And like we saw in this game, if you're going to bench a guy, do it. And just like they did in that 49ers game, they always wait too late. And then he never benched Carson in the Cleveland Browns game. Never did. So, yeah, frustrating. God's son, been a member for 10 months. Who writes, you can't say the energy didn't change for 12. Yeah, sure it did. It definitely did change. And I don't know if that's an indictment on Sam or if the energy changes when good shit happens. Nothing good was happening with Sam in the game. All of a sudden, 12 comes in and good shit starts to happen. Energy definitely changes. So you just need good things to happen. You want the energy to shift? Have good things happen. That's the problem is we went for it on 4th down and Logan Thomas is wide open and the ball gets deflected. Like, that's a tough break. It's a great play by the defender. He doesn't deflect that. Logan might score on that play. He's so wide open. But it gets deflected. Right? Like, you just need good things to happen. And they just never do to us for whatever reason. Some teams make their breaks. We wait for breaks to happen to us, and they just don't. Reedy Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Lou, hope Ronald don't think about starting Brissett. Well, he's already said that they're going to start Sam next week. And I never thought that this was the end of Sam starting. I mean, again, what good does that do? Again, if Ronald's trying to leave a legacy of any sort and he thinks that he's helped us find a quarterback, which is why I don't understand why they did what they did today, because that doesn't help your narrative. of Sam being the guy. But if you are to leave us a quote unquote gift at quarterback, you can't bench him at the end of the season. And again, what would you be looking to accomplish? Because we all know Jacoby Brissett's not even going to be here next year. So what good would that do you? The answer is it wouldn't. So he's not. Sam's starting next week. I don't even know if that's a good thing at this point, to be honest with you. I don't even know if that's a good thing. CGM87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, I read a report. Some front office will go if either of the clowns, donkey, loser, Marty stay. It is an epic fail. Worried new regime bails on Sam. I'm not concerned with any reports that are coming out. Literally, Bleacher Report had a report yesterday that said Ron Rivera likely fired at the end of the season. Duh. What is that really a report? Are you really reporting that like that's news or something? At this point, I'm just waiting for things to happen. Like there aren't any reports that are going to, move the needle for me. At this point, everybody's gone. Until otherwise notified, everyone's fired. If that doesn't happen, I will be shocked. You know how they say at the combine, fast guys run fast, slow guys run slow. It's only a story when the opposite happens. That's kind of where I'm at with our front office. Everybody's fired. If something else happens other than that, then it's a story. Until then, the house is being cleaned. Nothing's left behind. If they keep Marty Herney, that's news to me. It'll be a story then, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, everybody's fired. Everybody. Not one single member of this staff deserves to be around come next year. Maybe Malcolm Blacken deserves to be here still. I think he does a really good job. Like, everybody deserves to be gone, man. Seriously. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, bottom line is Sam needs to play well to show we don't need to draft a quarterback. He had a bad game, and he has no chemistry with 17. We can blame EB, the O-line, or the receiver, but the bottom line is Sam has to play better. Rough game for 14. And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Is we can make all the excuses in the world for poor play, but you got to figure out a way to make it happen. And he hasn't been doing that. And it's rough because as the season continues to deteriorate, so does his play. And so does the play of others around him. And you already know you can't look to the coaching staff to enhance anything that's happening on the field. So now he's almost trying to pull out the do-it-yourself kit. And he's pressing and he's making it worse. That's what it feels like to me. He's pressing and making it worse. Going Commando. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Ron doing unnecessary damage to Sam when Ron won't be around is frustrating. It's like putting Wentz back in for Heineke all over again. For what? We all have varying opinions as to whether that was the right move or not last year. I didn't have an issue with him putting Wentz in against Cleveland. My issue was that he didn't take him out fast enough. He didn't take him out at all, rather. But whether you believe that was a wrong move or not, I read an article that they said that was the moment when the team really stopped believing in Ron. And like him turning everything over to EB was almost a necessary evil because the players had already stopped believing in Ron after he really didn't have a pulse of the team last year when he benched Heineke, because they believed in Heineke. Clearly they didn't believe in Wentz, and Wentz went out and played ass, and he wouldn't pull the trigger on benching Wentz again. And then he tried to go back to Heineke at the end, and Heineke was like, "Are you serious right now?" What a pathetic loser. So, yeah, I could believe that the team kind of lost faith in Ron at that point. And I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. Jimmy Lee Patterson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, you are bugging to keep finding fault with EB instead of the 5th round rookie quarterback. I told you 2 weeks ago Sam needs to sit because he can't pre-snap. I find it hard to believe that you think EB is a good offensive coordinator. What has he done to prove to you that he shouldn't be at fault? Again, I asked you the same question 2 weeks ago. I'm going to ask you the same question now. Are you watching the film? Because if you're not, we can't have a conversation. I'm watching the film. I can tell you what I see. It's not all on EB, but I can tell you he's not doing a good enough job of taking the pressure off of a young quarterback who still hasn't started a season's worth of games yet. That's on Eric Bieniemy. He's supposed to be making life easier for the quarterback, not harder. Where are the easy throws? Where's the West Coast offense that we were promised? It's not hard. Coaches like Eric Bieniemy make the game harder than it needs to be. This is not a hard game. Football is not hard at all. But some guys make it harder than it needs to be. EB is one of those dudes because he believes in his scheme above all else. You heard them. Look, this was a terrible telecast today. Horrendous. They couldn't get anything right. They were saying all kinds of random dumb shit. You could tell they hadn't watched the Commanders game all season long. It was bad. It was really bad. But the one thing that they did say that I do agree with is it's not about X's and O's. It's about Jimmys and Joes. They didn't say that. They said in certain situations it's about players, not scheme. I tend to agree with that. In certain instances, hey, just get the ball to your best player. What do we like? Why is this hard? I don't know. You seem to want to ride for EB. And if you want to ride for EB, go right ahead. You're going to be in that vehicle with, it's only going to be a select few of y'all in there because I'm damn sure ain't in there. And I don't know of many people who are riding, especially the ones that are watching film. This ain't like Scott Turner last year where I would watch the film and be like, man, this dude's open, man. I don't know. No, that's not what I'm seeing at all. Period. Marcus B. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Marcus writes, when do you think the new GM needs to be hired? It's a process. So I don't expect that to happen as soon as they fire, Ron Rivera and company and clean house, that they have a GM. They're going to interview 5 to 6 candidates. They may even interview some of these candidates multiple times before they make the hire. They got to make sure it's the right guy. So I expect this to be a process. Teams that are hiring GMs usually are among the last to hire their head coaches. You want to wrap up your GM search as quick as possible because what you don't want to do is miss out on a coaching candidate because you took so long in hiring the GM. Now, other teams that are looking for coaches have already went through their process and they offer a job to a guy that you may want to hire. So you would like to wrap this thing up as quick as possible, which is why I had advocated for just firing the Martys already and starting that search now so that you can get into that head coaching search. Because understand that if you are serious about a guy like Ben Johnson, let's say, the NFL has made a new rule that they can't start to interview until the divisional round. So you can't even do a Zoom call with these guys during wild card weekend, which makes sense. I think the Eagles were pissed off at how the situation went with their defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, with the Cardinals. And you remember, they were awful in the Super Bowl, and they thought that he had checked out because he was already going to Arizona, and he didn't focus in on the game plan as much as he did his interview. And so the NFL kind of took note of that, and they're trying to put in, precautionary steps to stop coaches from, going out and trying to improve their situation, but leaving the team that they're currently with, who's chasing a chip, high and dry, right? So I don't know how that's going to work, but as soon as the Lions are eliminated from the playoffs, you want to already be ready to try to see what's good with Ben Johnson, if you're serious about him. And he's not the only candidate. I don't want to make it seem like he's the only guy worth hiring this coaching cycle. But he's at the top of my list. He's at the top of my list. I think they got to hire the GM. The season is over after the first Sunday in January. The first Sunday in January is the last regular season game. I'd like to have the GM hired no later than 2 weeks after that. Because in my mind, the Lions should win their wild card weekend game. And then they probably will be eliminated. And they don't have to be, but they probably will be eliminated the following week in the divisional round. At that point, that's 2 weeks after the end of the regular season. At that point, you need to be prepared to start interviewing head coaching candidates. You need to be ready to interview a guy like Ben Johnson at that point. I would say 2 weeks after the end of the regular season, I would want to make my GM hire in that 2 week window. But again, we'll see what happens. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB for 27 months. We waited 2 weeks for this, Lou. Simpletons. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was 28-20. I mean, we did create some turnovers. Hey, how about that? Right? The D-line looked a little bit better. Deron Payne had a couple of sacks. KJ Henry flashed a couple of times. I thought Quan Martin played his ass off. Like, it wasn't all bad, right? It wasn't all bad. Nate Master, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. All right, so was the snap on the punt the worst snap? I think it's one of the worst snaps I've ever seen on a long snap from on a punt return. I don't think I've ever seen a punt return snap dribbled back to the quarterback like that before. And I'm probably lying. It's probably happened before, but I mean, that was really bad. He literally threw a ground ball back to Trest's way. That was pretty bad. Going Commando. Been a member for 19 months. Browns be like, dang, maybe a 6 wasn't so bad. They could have had Jacoby Brissett. I mean, the Browns are straight. They got Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco. I don't know why people keep bringing up the Browns. I mean, they found them a guy. And Joe Flacco is better than Jacoby Brissett. He's better than him. They're fine. The Jets, a team like the Jets could have used him. Hold on a second. Can I tell y'all a quick story? Don't judge me. So we got this little contraption, like decoration, out in the front yard. We got 2 of them, one on each side of the door. And it's raining sideways right now, and it's windy as hell. And when it's windy, one of the little decorations usually gets knocked down. So this particular time, it got knocked down and it hit the doorknob, and it sounded like somebody was jiggling with my front door, right? Like they were trying to come in my house just now. So I shot up and I went and I looked through the peephole. I didn't see anything, but I know what I heard. right? So I open up the front door. You know, I got a little something in my hand. And the thing falls down on the step. And when I tell you I was ready to swing, hey, I'm on edge right now. Now is not the time. This is why I need to drink. And I got me one more glass of wine here. I can't afford to spill this one because this is the last one. And I need it bad. I need to take the edge off right now. Barce HTTR95. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, EB, blame EB for benching your boy, Louie. Look, EB might have been the reason he got benched. Maybe EB's been controlling a lot more of this shit than I've realized. Remember, I told y'all like 3 weeks ago when the report came out, and I think it was a story with John Keim that John Keim wrote with somebody else, and we talked about it on the CNN, and I didn't realize just how much control Eric Bieniemy has had this year. Like, he literally was the head coach of this team. It's crazy how much control Ronald gave him. And I told you, I remember John Keim saying in passing on a podcast, Ronald needs to remind the team of who's in charge. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like, why would he need to remind them who's in charge? Well, we know the answer, because EB was literally running everything. When you sit down and you kind of assess everything and you take a look at all the things EB was doing, he was essentially running the entire operation, from practice to the scheduling to when meetings ran to what the players could and couldn't do from a treatment standpoint. Meetings were running long. He controlled all of that shit. So I wouldn't be shocked if EB said, "Hey, get Sam out of there. Give me Jacoby right now." I wouldn't be shocked, because remember, EB's I'm like people like myself who are killing EB. His reputation is on the line too. You know, his reputation is on the line. So he's like, "Yo, I just need everybody to know this ain't my fault." Maybe that's what he's saying, but ain't nobody gonna give you credit for Jacoby Brissett coming in and playing well when, if you're gonna get a job as an offensive coordinator, it's gonna be with another team with a young quarterback. We want to know that you can take a young quarterback, nourish him, and put him in positions to succeed. I don't give a shit what you do with a 10-year veteran in the lineup. That ain't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the guy that can take a young quarterback and turn him into a superstar. That's what I'm looking for. And right now you're failing at that. So I've heard Bears fans say, "Hey man, we'll take Eric Bieniemy." He's not going to work for Justin Fields. I'm just telling you that right now. He ain't going to work for Justin Fields, because you don't want Justin Fields dropping back and throwing the bitch 47 times. I'm just going to tell you right now, that ain't what you're looking for. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rob Yu writes, The gaping roster holes are solely on Ron. Ah, man. There are a lot of holes on this roster, and a lot of them can be attributed to Ron and company. Some of it, you got to also acknowledge that, as I watch another team throw a wide receiver screen, you got to acknowledge that there was a hindrance last year with the ownership change as to how much money they could spend. You know, a lot of the assets were frozen, and they had to be a little bit frugal with what they were spending. So instead of being able to go out and get a real offensive lineman that could help, they had to go get Nick Gates and Andrew Wiley, right? No excuses. They went out and got those guys. EB signed off on Andrew Wiley, and they endorsed them as the guys that were going to help fix this offensive line, and it couldn't have been further from the truth. But this is the same group that refuses to play Cornelius Lucas. So I really don't – no good. I really don't have any positive things to say about the roster construction here or the decision-making that they've executed as far as who they decided to play. Stay solid. XX. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lucas should have been starting this whole time. We said that after week 2. when our offensive line, specifically Andrew Wiley, was getting destroyed. After week 2, we were like, hey, man, I would just kick Wiley inside. If you still plan on trying to get your money's worth, kick him inside and put in Cole Luke. Again, I don't really know why he hasn't been starting. Remember we had the situation that happened with Charles Leno, losing his child. You never want that kind of thing to happen, and it did, and it was awful, and he missed a game. Did we hear a peep out of left tackle that game? A peep. I mean, we even had to go out of our way to say, hey, Cole Luke was over there balling. But they're going to ride with, what they've done, right? We gave Charles Leno this contract. He's one of the leaders on the team. He's got to play. Okay, well then bench Andrew Wiley's ass. Nope, we paid him a contract too. He's going to play. Well, all right. Well, you keep being mediocre on the offensive line. Go right ahead. Christopher McLaughlin, my guy Chris. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, hey Lou, what's up, Chris? Happy holidays to you and the fam. 2 questions. Why do we seem to have a busted coverage on D every game? Cup was wide open on the touchdown. If they had an answer for that, they would have fixed it a long time ago. So clearly they don't have an idea as to why we keep having coverage bust, but looked like Cam Curl was the guilty party on the one tonight. Every week you can count on somebody getting behind our defense. And remember, earlier in the game, if I'm not mistaken, or no, that was the Cowboys game. I got my games mixed up. I was about to say they had somebody open deep and they just missed him, but that wasn't this game. But my question is, how does Cooper Kupp get lost? Of all the guys on the field, how does Cooper Kupp get lost? I mean, help me. I'm trying to figure out how you lose 10. Because if there's like, it's just like you can't lose 99 on defense. If there's one dude I'm not going to forget about, it's 99 on defense. It's the same way on offense. How you lose 10? That's one of the dudes you come into the game saying, hey, no matter what, we need to know where he is at all times. And you just lose him up the sideline? That's tough. What is the number one issue that needs to be addressed? Time management, execution, or play calling, and why? For me, it's play calling. Because, and execution isn't too far behind, because EB could call the perfect play. He could draw up the absolute best possible play. And if we don't execute, if the offensive line doesn't protect and the guy gets open down the field, what difference does it make, right? Execution is huge. To me, if you don't have execution, it doesn't really matter what the play call is. So execution probably needs to be at the top of the list. But I feel like with better play calling, you can hide some of your deficiencies. That's what the best play callers do. Is you minimize your deficiencies, you accentuate your strengths, and you give your team the best chance to succeed by putting them in advantageous situations. If you know our offensive line isn't built for the drop back game, you can't be dropping back 25 to 30 times a game with 5-step drops. So you have to find a way to alleviate some of that pressure off of your offensive line. And whether that's running it, whether that's the quick game, whether that's the screen game, whether that's using Sam as a runner, what happened to the RPO game? And can anybody answer me? What happened to RPOs? Is that not a part of the playbook? Is that not something that we have the capability of using? Is for Sam to have a run pass option? Can we not do that? Like, these are the things that boggle the mind. What has happened to the quick pass game here in Washington. I am at a loss. For me, it's play calling. It's 1A, 1B with play calling and execution. Because again, to me, you can have the perfect play call, but if the execution sucks, you're doomed. You can have perfect execution, but if it's a bad play, you can perfectly execute a bad play call. It ain't gonna work. Right? So I think those two are 1A, 1B for me. Right? Joseph's Journey. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joseph's Journey. Writes, roster so bad, we need a QB who moves the needle. And you know what? Maybe that's the case. And I've already told y'all, as much as I want Sam to be the guy, if they decide to go get a quarterback, I'm not going to be upset at all. I've already, it's not to the point where I'm like, yo, Sam is without question the guy. And, and if they draft a quarterback, they're forcing it. Bro, we are so high in the draft. We suck so bad that it's almost to the point where you got to entertain the possibility of taking a quarterback. You have to look at these guys and comb through their body of work. And again, they got to do the homework. They got to talk to these players. They got to talk to that guy's 8th grade teacher. They got to talk to his, high school coach. They got to talk to the equipment guy. You got to talk to everybody so that you know what you're getting yourself into. But all in all, I think Sam has capabilities. But if they go with a quarterback, I'm going to be excited for that young dude. I told you, I don't care about being right. I care about winning. That's all I want. And I honestly don't give a shit. Sans for cheat. I don't want to cheat and get there, okay? But sans for cheating, I don't give a shit how they do it, what they do. Just do it. Just win. I just want to win. I'm sick of this shit. I'm watching all these competitive games. I'm watching Green Bay and Tampa Bay. That felt like a playoff game. That Green Bay Tampa, we played a game that felt like that last year against the Giants. I like the way that felt. Granted, it was 2-7-5-1 teams, which isn't terrible. That's not a terrible record. It's not like 6-7 versus 6-7, which the Green Bay Tampa Bay game was today. But shit, it beats the alternative. Being a 4-9 team playing the string out in a meaningless season when everybody knows imminent change is coming, sweeping changes are coming, beats the alternative. I don't like this feeling. I don't like games like today's game. There's nothing to be gained from a game like today. Sam could have went out and threw for 370. Still doesn't, and we lose, still doesn't mean he would be the quarterback here next year. None of this shit matters. Sam could play his ass off in the next 3 games, and we still end up with the 3rd pick. He still might, the next GM still might draft a quarterback. None of this shit matters. I don't like watching football that doesn't matter. We might as well be watching preseason ball. This shit sucks. It's December, and we talking about the goddamn draft. Do you know how much this shit pisses me off? A lot of y'all like this draft talking shit. F the draft until March. I don't want to talk about the goddamn draft. I want to talk about meaningful football. We talk about this shit for goddamn 3-4 months at a time in the offseason. About how fun the season's going to be. And now we in December and we talking about the offseason again. This shit pisses me off. Christopher McLaughlin. Thank you for gifting the memberships. Shout out to my guy Chris. Really do appreciate the generosity. My guy Chris always holding it down. Thank you for gifting the memberships. Brendan McCloskey. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. Cameron Cheeseman at his PC. I haven't been performing the way I wanted to. Most places I wouldn't be around still. This is unreal. That's at his press conference. He's not wrong. He's keeping it a buck. And he won't be here next year. You can't do what he's done and keep a job. It's amazing that he's still here, if we're being honest, because the man was showing problems and signs of trouble in the preseason. He was on a short leash to begin with. And the man effed up in the Denver game. At the first sign of trouble, I would have been bringing in long snappers on the first Tuesday after this man had a bad snap. The first one. I don't have the last position. And Ron laughed it off. If I'm talking about long snapper, then that's the biggest issue that we have. That means we've come a long way. You know, things have changed when we're having a conversation about the long. That shit ain't funny. We got a long snapper issue, bro. I get what you're trying to say. Nah, we're not talking about the owner, and we're not talking about sexual assault. We're not talking about all this off the field bullshit. I get it. But literally, you're deflecting from the problem that exists. We got a long snapper that can't snap. Fix that shit. I ain't trying to be ha-ha and keying with your ass. Fix it. Here we are in December talking about the same shit we was talking about in August. Make it make sense. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, JP. Right? Never been more over a season than 2019. Ronald has to go. Mayhew has to go. Revamp 75% of this roster, and Sam getting benched was garbage. I don't think you can revamp 75% of the roster. That's a huge percentage. You can turn over, though, 40 to 50% of the roster, and I think they will, right? I think they will do that, but 75 is pretty high. You're talking about 3/4 of the roster not being here next year. That's damn near impossible in the NFL, you know. But I'll say this: I'm with you. I haven't been ready for a season to be over this much since 2019, and I have to sit through 3 more weeks of this shit. Like, I don't know why I thought today would be any different than the previous, 3 games where we got our asses whooped, and why I would feel better. I don't know. Maybe I thought them being competitive. We were competitive today. I know the score got close late, and it doesn't necessarily reflect how the game went, but we were never like getting blown out of this game. Like 28-7, yeah, that's bad, but it could have been a lot worse, right? I just didn't care. Like, this was the first time where I was just like, bro, I literally told the mob, well, the game's moving fast. I'm with this shit. If this bitch is over at 6:33, I'm excited, right? And then all of a sudden, it slowed down. And then the Bills started running the shit out of the ball, and they passed us at one point, right? And I'm like, well, why is the game taking so long now? Like, we have to do this 3 more times. And I wish I could make this out, because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to stand for something. CR7's the GOAT. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, what do you think Sam Howell's potential is? I don't want to put a player on him, but I think his potential is a Pro Bowl quarterback in this league. I don't know if he ever would be an All-Pro, but he's a Pro Bowl type of quarterback. I could see that in his future. But again, we may never get to that point with him, because this staff has done a great job of taking a guy that came in with an abundance of confidence early in the season and beat him to a pulp, physically and mentally. I mean, the shit that they did today was borderline on some psychological warfare type shit. Like, what the hell did Sam do to you? Like, that was on some Dwayne Haskins 4th and goal from the 15-yard line quiz. Let's see what Dwayne does. And if he doesn't pass the quiz, we're going to bench him, like they did after the Ravens game. Like, what the hell are we doing right now? Who does that? Ronald does. That's the second time he's done some bullshit, but whatever. Jimmy Lee Patterson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I told you 2 weeks ago, the problem is with Sam, not EB. Let Brissett cook. Again, we can't talk, Jimmy, because you're missing the point. Everything EB cooks burns. What has EB cooked that has been delicious this season? That's my question. Is again, we didn't bring Eric Bieniemy here to coach a 10-year veteran. That's not what we brought him here. We brought him here to take a young quarterback and turn him into the next big thing. If he can't do that, do you want him cooking next year with another rookie quarterback? Is that my understanding? Is that what you would like him to do? Because if that's not, and you want EB gone, what the hell do you need to see him cooking with Brissett for? Clearly, he had no regards for Sam's development in terms of bringing him along at a leisurely pace. They were concerned with expediting the process, dropping him back 47 times a game. Like that was the move. And don't sell me on, some games got away from us. We weren't getting blown out in games when they decided to hell with the run game. We're just going to have Sam drop back and throw the bitch. So what exactly is EB cooking? What exactly is Brissett going to cook? We know what his meals taste like. They taste like some backup quarterback shit. So what exactly are we supposed to be cooking and eating here? What's the meal? I'm confused, Jimmy. Help me. Sam might not be the right chef. It damn sure ain't Jacoby Brissett. I can assure you of that. Reedy Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Reedy writes, Lou, hope the Eagles make it 0-4 this weekend. Talking about the division. At this rate, I've already told you, I really don't give a shit what happens. As long as the 49ers take care of business, all will be right with the world. And maybe the Lions will take somebody out along the way too. But as long as, woo! Come on, Lamar. As long as they don't win a damn thing, that's all I care about. As long as Dallas, and Dallas showed me their true colors today. And what did I tell y'all about Dallas? I ain't tripping. And I don't think the Eagles can win. They just changed defensive play callers, right? Like they're reaching now. They grasping for straws, right? See what happens. Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, people quick to move on from a guy after one season. That's the day and age that we live in. Door Gunner. Sadly, it's not what it used to be. People do not have patience any longer. They want immediate results. I mean, this is the same group of people, and I'm not talking about our fan base in particular. I'm just talking about fans in general. Josh Allen started to struggle, and people were calling for Josh Allen's head. Like he ain't one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, what are we talking about right now? People are never satisfied. Never. They always want the next big, best, brightest thing. They always want the new shiny toy. Nobody ever wants to just roll with what's reliable, especially when what's reliable or could be reliable, potentially, hasn't met its apex yet. It's one thing if you felt like, hey, this shit is taking us as far as it could go. This isn't going to get much better than it is right now. Okay, I get that. But that's not what people do anymore. You got to come out the gates playing at an MVP level for people to leave you the hell alone. Or else we got to get something else. And look, the team struggles haven't helped Sam's case, because if we would have won 6 games and we would have been the 13th, 14th pick, people wouldn't be talking about getting a quarterback. But you keep losing and you end up 4-13. You didn't do yourself any favors, right? You got to stay away from, and again, him being a 5th round pick makes it easy for people to use that as a crutch. I think Jimmy just said a 5th round pick. What does that matter, Jimmy? What does it matter that he's a 5th round pick? You sound like Jen Hale earlier in the season when we when we beat, who was it? Was it Denver? I can't remember. I don't think it was Denver. It was somebody else. New England. That's who it was. Sam Howell, the 5th round pick. Thanks for joining me. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Right? Like, if he was the 1st overall pick, or if he was the 5th overall pick, or if he was the 15th overall pick, we wouldn't. Kenny Pickett stinks. Who are we kidding? Kenny Pickett stinks. They thinking about benching him in Pittsburgh? Nah. You know why? They spent the 1st round pick on him. That's the difference. When you invest a 1st round pick on a guy, you give him a chance. When you invest a 5th round pick in a guy, he doesn't have to get a chance. So Sam's more likely than not going to be moved on from because he's a 5th round pick. And I think that's bullshit. But what can you do? Christopher McLaughlin. I'm just glad that the fans don't get to make the decision. I'm just glad the fans don't get to make the decision. I'm going to let the GM figure out what he wants to do, and whatever he decides to do, I'm going to roll with it. Whether that's, keep Sam, draft an offensive lineman and build around Sam, or if that's draft a quarterback, and figure out other ways to fortify the offensive line and get all the pieces you need, and Sam's a backup next year, whatever, I'm riding with it. I learned a long time ago, it's the organization over any individual player. Get your feelings hurt when you start attaching yourself to players in particular. So I'm riding for the organization. So whatever they decide to do, I'm gonna ride, even if I don't agree. Let's get it. Let's see what happens. My guy Chris, double up. Thank you for doubling up once again. Thank you for gifting the memberships. My guy Christopher McLaughlin writes, "Hey Lou, what's up, Chris? How do we expect to score points when on O when we don't get our best 2 players the ball consistently? Also, what makes you confident things will be better next year with a new head coach and GM? Same results for the past 30 years. Well, the first thing that's different is the ownership group. And just the patience that he's shown. All the fans, and like I said, I'm so glad that he didn't allow the fans to peer pressure him into doing anything. Because he's gained respect around league circles by not firing Ron Rivera. He's the anti-David Tepper right now, in the sense that he didn't, fly off the handle and fire Ron Rivera because he was struggling and all the fans wanted him fired. He's like, nah, we'll assess this at the end of the season. We'll see what. And you know what? Other people watching around the league say, I want to coach for an ownership group like that. I want to go somewhere where I'll be given an opportunity to figure some things out. I won't just be hired. Like, nobody wants to go. I wouldn't want to go to Carolina after I've seen what he's done to the last 2 coaches there. Shoot him up and spit him out. This last one, a respected guy like Frank Reich, you got him shooting hostage videos in week 7, and you spit him out, you chew him up and spit him out in week 12? Yeah, right. I don't want to go coach for that guy. So the first thing why I think it's going to be different is we got a real ownership group here. They're doing small little things behind the scenes, as you can see, to try to bolster the organization as a whole and the front office and catch us up with the times. And I truly believe I've watched enough football. I eat, sleep, breathe this shit. A lot of you don't watch other teams. Okay, a lot of you just watch the Commanders, so you don't really have a full grasp of how this shit works. This is what I do for a living. So I'm telling you that if you get the right combination of general manager and head coach, you can turn this shit around in a year's time. We don't have to have this be a 3 to 5 year process like Ronald came in here and told us it's a 3 to 4 year, process. That's how long it takes to change a culture, to build a winner. I'm telling you that you can come in here and in 1 year's time, with the right GM, the right head coach, and the right moves made in the offseason, you can turn this bitch around and we can win next year. I'm not guaranteeing you that, but I've seen it done. So that's why I'm confident. Uh-oh, fumble. He caught. Come on. You tripping. You tripping. Dude ain't even touch you and you drop the rock. You tripping. Barry Curtis Jr. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Barry Curtis Jr. writes, ATP, at this point, I'd rather we rebuild the correct way as opposed to just trying to rebuild fast. We might just have to accept the fact that we need a couple of years. But if that means eventually winning, worth it. We don't really know what the rebuilding process here looks like. It's different for every organization. And again, it's not up to us. It's up to the new GM to come in here and identify what pieces he views as building blocks moving forward. Guys that he thinks that this team and this organization can win with as they move forward into the future. As I've stated, I think there's about 10 to 12 guys that are legitimate building block pieces that you can win with moving forward. That includes bringing back a guy like Curtis Samuel, who's still relatively young. There's guys you can win with here, you know. But again, not for us to decide. There is no exact science to this NFL thing. You know, building, rebuild. The Giants were supposed to be rebuilding last year. They won 9 games and went to the playoffs. Won a playoff game. They went out. They made some of the best moves of any team this offseason. I said on paper, the Giants improved the most of any team in the NFC East. They regressed and got worse this year. Okay. There's no exact science to this. The Texans have been turning over their roster ever since they got a new GM 2 years ago. Overturning the roster, making all kinds of moves. They fired their coach 2 years in a row. They fired Lovey. They fired the old special teams guy from Baltimore, David Culley. They're turning the roster over, constantly turning the roster over. And then they get the right coach. They get the quarterback. And all of that roster turning over. And all the while, they were building that offensive line. That's the key. Like, you can't do shit without an offensive line. They didn't drop C.J. Stroud behind a lousy offensive line. They already gave Laramie Tunsil the highest paid contract in the NFL at the tackle position. They'd spent first-round picks in consecutive years on offensive linemen. So they'd been building that offensive line. So they didn't just throw him behind any damn body. Still got a lot of work to do on that roster, but just like that, DeMeco Ryans comes in there. He brings his defense. He brings in a couple of guys that can help him implement his defense, similar to Dan Quinn in Dallas. And voila, just like that. Texans are 8-6 with Case Keenum starting today. 8-6, threatening to make the damn playoffs. Indianapolis Colts roster is shit. I talked about it last night. They roster ain't shit. They went out and got Shane Steichen, and he brought in Gardner effing Minshew, man. Give me a break. They're 8-6. Like, don't tell me that this shit can't happen. It happened fast. You just got to find the right guys. That's the key. I don't know what it's going to look like here, Barry. I'm just telling you that finding the right guys expedites the process, period. And that's at all levels. Front office, coaching, on the field. All levels. Finding the right guys expedites the process. If there's a break in that link somewhere, it's going to make the process take longer. Where that break in the link can't be is at the very top with the general manager. Because if it's there, we're going to have problems at every other place, right? Every other part of this process. If there's a break in the link at the top at GM, the players on the field going to suck. The coaching staff probably not going to be that good, and we're going to run into the issue, right? Because even if the coaching staff is really good and the players aren't very good, again, and that comes from the GM, you got a problem. Keys, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Ridgeway celebrating a big hit, even though the Rams converted a first down, pretty much shows how disconnected we are from being good. Nasty work. I mean, we've had that issue with this team for a very long time. Guys celebrating when they shouldn't be. I don't get caught up in that stuff anymore. I used to get bent out of shape about guys celebrating at the worst times. That doesn't bother me anymore. You know, football is supposed to be fun, and whether you get your brains bashed in, like that affects fans more than it does. Like if I'm a player, I saw a game, somebody was making fun of a player because they were down. It was the Chargers Raiders game, right? And Austin Eckler, I think, got a first down. They were down 63-7, I think. He gets the first down and he stands up and he does this, right? And he's pointing first down. And somebody's like, this guy is detached from reality or some bullshit like that. I'm like, this man is out here getting paid to have fun. Like, yeah, we losing by 56 right now. I'm still getting paid to play a child's game. At the end of the day, it's just supposed to be fun. If you ever stop having fun, either you're having a miserable season or you probably don't need to play the game no more. Like I told myself, if I ever lose the passion for doing this, I don't need to do this anymore. I enjoy this. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy breaking this stuff down. Like if I ever lose that, then I probably shouldn't be doing it anymore. All right. And while this isn't competitive necessarily, so there's no score, so there may not be a right or wrong time to be animated and excited. I'm not gonna beat a guy up for being excited he made a play, even if you're down 56 points in a game. Okay, let everybody else be hypercritical. I'm not gonna be one of those people. But to each its own. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Juan writes, feels like we've wasted 4 years of our lives. Wasted is a strong word. We've had some moments in these 4 years. You know, we've had some runs and some stretches where, you know, we were on cloud nine. I was at the hospital doing a post-game show after we beat the Raiders, and I think it might have been the third in a row or the fourth in a row. Trying to think, was the Seahawks before or after that Raiders game? I think that Seahawks game was after because everybody got hurt that night. Logan got hurt in the Raiders game, and then we lost J.D. McKissick and like 2 other dudes in that Seahawks game, and that was it. But you know, that was 2 years ago. I did a video from the hospital. Y'all could hear the monitor beeping in the background. Like, there have been some moments that I'll never forget. So wasted is a strong word. I just feel like we haven't. It feels like we've run in place. In 4 years, we're back to where we were. And although the roster isn't nearly as bad, we're asking ourselves the same question. When we were in 2019 going into the 2020 draft, and this is why I think they're going to take a quarterback. But it shouldn't matter because the same people aren't here. So using that as a reason doesn't necessarily mean anything. But in my mind, I've told myself this is as you get closer to the top of the draft, this is why they're going to take a quarterback, because the last time we were in this position, which was 2019, heading into 2020 offseason, we had this same conversation: Dwayne Haskins, or do you take, a quarterback? Well, they stuck with Dwayne Haskins. They went in a different direction, and it didn't work out. And now you look back, I don't think Tua would have been the answer here, but Herbert might have been. We might have effed him up too, But who's to say? But you're in a similar situation, and that's why I say it feels kind of like we're in the same place all over again. I think the roster is slightly better. Well, not slightly. The roster is better than it was in 19. We were without a doubt the worst roster in football. That's not the case right now. We're not the worst roster in football. We're the worst. We're one of the worst coached teams in the league. I'll argue with anybody that wants to have that discussion. You won't find many teams that are coached worse than we are, that are worse and more ill-prepared than we are. But to say that our roster is the worst, I vehemently disagree. I've watched all these teams in the league, and there's some bad football teams. The Colts roster stinks. They are light years. They run circles around us from a coaching staff perspective. Who are we kidding? Their roster is awful. I wouldn't trade their roster. Like, I wouldn't want their roster. I wouldn't wish their roster on my worst enemy. Maybe I would. I lied. Maybe I'd wish that to be Dallas's roster right now, or Philadelphia's. The fact that they're 8-6, I get it. They play in a bad division, but my goodness, what are we talking about here? You gave Shane Steichen our roster in Indianapolis. They might be 11-game winners right now or something. It's crazy to think what he's doing with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So I'll just say this: wasted is a strong term, but it feels like we're kind of back where we were 4 years ago. Same questions are being asked. Do we have the right quarterback? Do we need to draft a quarterback? We already got one. Should we draft one? This time, we're right back where we were 4 years ago, need a new coach. But this time I think we're going to do it the right way. And that's the difference. We're going to do things the way that they should have been done the first time. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, good coaches make the best of what they have. And I just haven't seen that from EB at all. January 8th can't get here soon enough. #NHL. And I literally just talked about Shane Steichen and what he's done in Indianapolis. And to me, that's the point, is really good coaches are gonna make lemonade out of lemons, whether these are the best looking lemons you ever seen, or they're banged up lemons, or they're starting to go bad. They're gonna figure out a way to make it some drinkable, potable lemonade. Okay, it'll be potable. It might not be the best lemonade you've ever had, but it ain't the worst, right? It might not be Chick-fil-A lemonade, but it's lemonade. Abad Shameen, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Right. Born in 99, my friends and I were talking about how the only good memories we've had with this team was 2012. Have faith in new ownership, but tired. When you lose as much as we have, you get beaten down mentally. Similar to what you've seen from Sam. You just get worn down, right? And I had a rant probably like 20, 30 minutes ago, and I don't want to do that. I don't like ranting because it's not going to change nothing. I already know we suck. I'm ready for it. I'm tired of losing. I'm not a loser, bro. That's not how my brain is wired. I don't like talking about the take-a-thon. Too many people get excited about where we're drafting. I don't give a shit about where we're drafting. I'm tired of losing. I don't like having these conversations in December. I don't give a shit about your mock draft. Stop sending me your goddamn mock drafts. I don't give a shit. I'm serious. I don't care about your mock draft. I want to win. So, yes, I get it. It's December. I don't care about an April mock draft. CGM87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, why not fire the front office now and get a jump start? I don't know if that's possible or not. Like, I would think that if you were getting a head start on the rest of the league, you would just do it. So it makes me think that there's something that says you're not really getting a head start by, because I know why you don't fire your head coach. You're not really getting a jump start because the guys you need to talk to are still coaching for their respective teams. So I get it why you wouldn't fire your head coach, which is why I've advocated it doesn't really make any sense to fire Ron Rivera. You're not really getting a jump start on the perspective. Like, there's not a guy out there. Like, if Sean Payton was out there and you wanted Sean Payton, then you fire Ron Rivera so you can talk to Sean Payton and have that deal in place. But there's not one of those candidates that exists right now. And the guys that you're looking at that you probably are going to be considering are all coaching for some other team right now. So you can't even have an interview with them. You can't even assess whether that guy can come in and take over your organization. So I think I'd like to think that, and I've made this point already, the assistant GM or the director of player personnel on somebody's team, yeah, they're busy, but are they too busy to actually come in and sit down and talk to you? Is it going to interrupt the day-to-day dealings of, say, the Baltimore Ravens if you want to talk to their director of player personnel? I don't think so. That's different than you taking an offensive coordinator out of the daily meetings, sitting down, talking with the offense, installing the game plan. Like, that's different. You're affecting their day-to-day process. I don't know if you talking to the assistant GM is stopping a team from, running their organization the way that they, normally run it. That's why I was like, you should be able to get a head start on the front office. I don't know about head coach, but apparently you're not getting a huge head start. I guess that's my assumption that I'm making, because I don't see a lot of teams doing that. So, yeah. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, to be honest, I took a nap during the fourth quarter and woke up to cheering in my house only to see Brissett in. Watching this team is exhausting, and I'm ready for the offs to start. On to New York. Hashtag NHO. Hashtag HTTC. Shit, I went and ate. I told you I normally don't eat during games. I'm usually a nervous wreck. I went and had me a big-ass bowl of spaghetti. Like, to hell with this shit. Went back for seconds. Was more engaged in a 31-3 Cowboys ass whooping than I was the Washington game. Once they took Sam Howell out, I was like, I don't need to watch this shit. What do I care? At this point, I'm outside for Sam. I can't reiterate that enough. So when Sam's no longer outside, then I can take my black ass inside. What I need to be out here for? It's cold out this bitch. I was only outside for Sam. Well, Sam's not outside, so shit. Let me go inside. So I did. At the end of the day, I'm ready for the playoffs to start too. I'm ready for fun football again. Even though we won't be a part of it. What's new? Mark David, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, any DN you see in free agency, Ron Tankin, JP snapped. So no. JB. I don't know what you said at the end there, but any DNs I see in free agency, I gave y'all the one that I think would be worth signing. Jonathan Grenard, out of the Texans. They'd be foolish to let him walk. He had another sack today. Watch them beat Tennessee. He had another sack today. If he's not already at double digits, he's vastly approaching double digits this season. I loved him coming out of Florida, and it's taken a little while for him to develop, but touchdown. He's finally turned into the player that I thought he could be coming out of Florida, and he's going into the prime of his career, and I'd love to throw a little bit of bread at him, just a little piece of change, and see what happens. But if I'm the Texans, he's the perfect complement to Will Anderson Jr., who you just drafted, with the top 5 pick. I'm not letting him leave. But you might hear somebody say Danielle Hunter or your boy from Carolina. Them dudes outside of the price range. I ain't spending that kind of money in free agency. Grenard is right in the wheelhouse. He's going to cost, but he ain't free. But it's the kind of money Philadelphia spent on Hassan Reddick. Like you don't mind spending that kind of bread. You can get away with that. Lucky Chuck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Lucky Chuck writes, Cheeseman sucks. Yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah. I don't need to add anything to that. Yeah, he does. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? By seeing the reactions today, I'm glad some people in this fan base aren't running our team because this team would somehow end up permanently overseas. Bro, the amount of foolishness I see within the fan base. But look, I always tell people this. We're not ever going to wholly agree on how to get to the end destination. Okay. But we all want the same end destination. It's just we all have a different way of going about it. And that's every fan base. It ain't just our fan base. Everybody thinks they know what's best for the team. Everybody's got their opinions. Okay. Everybody is a GM, right? I'm included. Like I'm not absolved of, being lumped into this conversation. I think I know what's best too, right? We all think we do. We all have philosophical beliefs and ways we would approach things. We don't always agree with one another, but we all want the same thing. Some people focus on some shit that I don't care about. Like there's one guy that's on social media, and every time I have a post, he talks about the name. I don't give a shit about the name. So I never respond to him. Every time I could be talking about Sean Taylor. Hey, we need to change the name. Oh, okay. Yeah. You go somewhere in the corner, man. Like, I'm pretty sure he wants to win, but that might not be his central focus. He's more fixated on getting the name, to something else. Okay, that's cool. Me and you don't run in the same circles though, because my circle is tight. I'm trying to win. So that's what I'm focused on. You can focus on the jerseys, the logo, the name, the color scheme, all that shit. I told y'all this, once Redskins was dead and gone, and I knew it was never coming back. And once they got rid of it, I knew it was never going to return. All of that nostalgic shit died for me. I don't give a shit what this team is called. I don't care about the color scheme anymore. Burgundy and gold, that's fine. That's something that we roll with. But now black is in the color scheme, whether you like it or not. And maybe they go back to burgundy and gold as the primary colors. Maybe black remains an alternate if they do change something up. If they don't and they keep this thing what it is, fine. I really don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. I just want to win. We could be the Washington Crocodiles for all I care. The DC Dimebags. I don't give a shit. I just want to win. And for me, personally, the destination is going to be different for all of us. But again, the end game is what's important, and everybody wants to win. Some more than others, but we all want to ultimately see this team be successful. So, but yes, to your point, thank God some of these people don't have any say-so, because who knows what the hell would become of this organization, right? Phyllis Longwood, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, if you had to pick one, what QB would you draft? Well, I already told you the only one that I really truly feel like is a slam dunk if he can get his mental straight is Caleb Williams. None of these other dudes really move the needle for me. So that's how I feel. So that's the one I would draft. I'd be able to, give me another 2 months and I'll be able to tell you what my quarterback ranking is and how I feel about them. And I like I said, I may feel different, but all of these dudes, there's no linear path for any of these quarterbacks. Even Caleb Williams went to a different school. And I probably just need to let that shit go because this is the new day and age of college football that we live in now. So it's a brave new world of college football. You're really going to see a guy go to a school, stay there for 3 years, and leave. Before he leaves, he's been to 3 different schools, right? At a bare minimum, he's been to at least 2. All of these quarterbacks. Caleb Williams started at Oklahoma, finished his career at USC. Jaden Daniels started his career at Arizona State, finished up at LSU. Michael Penix Jr. started his career at Indiana, finished up at Washington. Bo Nix started his career at Auburn, finished up his career at Oregon. Like, this is what it is. This is what it's come to. So, I got to let that shit go. Jack Miller. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jack Miller writes, can we interview other teams' general managers when they are in the postseason, when they're trying to go to the Super Bowl? But remember, you're not taking away somebody else's general manager. You're probably talking to their assistant GM or their director of player personnel or their director of pro scouts or, their assistant team president or whatever, right? You're talking to somebody that's not filling an actual role, but somebody that's an assistant, or they're in a role, a prominent role, but they're not the guy, right? Like, you're not taking somebody and having them make a lateral move. So if you're talking to somebody's assistant GM, the actual GM is still running the day-to-day operations. So you removing the assistant for a day shouldn't derail the operation, if you get what I'm saying. Right? But again, I don't know how any of this works. So I can't speak on these situations as if I do know how they work. Oh yeah, they ain't getting that off. You got to throw that in the end zone, dum-dum. Nope. End of the half. Boy, that's some young boy football for you right there. You got to get that ball out of bounds and get a field goal. Yeah. And that fan said, the dude ran past. He said, "You punk bitch." Come on, man. You can't be calling out players like that. Anyway, I digress. Evman H25, been a member for 15 months. I ain't no punk bitch. You a punk bitch. Anyway, been a member for 15 months. Cole Luke needs to start and Cheeseman can walk home. Yeah, like, he's one of them dudes you be like, hey, bro, don't even get on the team bus. Like, don't even catch the bus back. We going to the plane. Don't bother getting on the plane, bro. But yeah, he knows what's up. He's, somebody told me earlier tonight that he said in his press conference, if this was another team, I wouldn't be here. Which, I mean, that's almost a shot at Washington. Like, we so down bad that he's still here, because on a normal roster where this shit would not be tolerable, he would be gone already. Yeah, he's definitely inbounds. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, it was only the second quarter, though. LOL. I get it, though. You talking about John Ridgway celebrating. Yeah, and we weren't down big either. I didn't have a problem with it. Like I said, I don't get bent out of shape about that stuff anymore like I used to. Back in the day when I was younger, that kind of stuff would piss me off. I don't care about that. Have fun. Have fun. Whatever that looks like for you, have fun. B-Hat, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. B-Hat writes, Am I the bad guy for still wanting EB back next year if he doesn't get a head coaching job? Still have hope in this offense if they run it back with a new O-line. You're not a bad guy. I just think you're misguided, but that's my opinion. You have your opinion. You think EB is doing a solid job and would do an even better job with a better offensive line running it back in year 2 of the offense. I disagree because, again, this isn't a situation where, oh, man, this offense would be lethal if we just had better O-line play. It's a situation where philosophically, I don't believe in what Eric Bieniemy believes in. I don't believe he gets it. Situationally, he struggles. I watch too much good football to watch what Eric Bieniemy is doing and think that this shit is good football. Situationally, you either get it or you don't get it. He clearly does not get it. And I've dealt with that incompetence with Scott Turner. I just don't have the bandwidth to deal with another year of incompetency in the most critical of situations. It's 3rd and 7, and we got guys running 15-yard routes with an offensive line that you already know isn't very good, and they're blitzing. And this is your idea of a good play. And if why isn't Sam getting out of these plays? Is he not being allowed to? Is he not smart enough to do this? Why aren't we getting him to a point where he sees the defense and what they're doing, and he can raise up and go like this, and everybody knows, hey, we changing it to all slants, right? And then we run slants against all-out pressure, and he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. Like, I don't know why these things aren't taking place. All I know is in 3rd down and short and 4th down and short, we struggle. We did it again today, and it was a great play call. I'd really like it if they rolled Sam to his right instead of always rolling him to his left, where he's got to then square his shoulders. Like, it just takes longer for a right-handed quarterback to square his shoulders and throw the football moving to his left. Sam can do it. He's done it many a times. It's just tough. It takes longer. And then you got the ball batted down because it took so long. Like, I used to bitch and complain about Dwayne Haskins rolling to his right, and he would throw like he was rolling to his left, to his right. He would have to jump in the air and configure his body. I'm like, bro, you throwing to your right. That's the side you throw on. Why is it taking you so long? Just throw it. You got a quick release. Just get rid of it. Well, that's what you do on the left side, because you have to square your shoulders. You got to square your body. You got to get in a proper throwing position. You roll to your right. You don't have to do all of that. But whatever. You're not a bad guy. I don't think he's the answer, personally. So anyway, I digress. Well, that's the last super chat. I'll allow you guys to go ahead, finish watching the rest of Sunday Night Football. It's 10-0. The Jags have made plenty of mistakes, and yet they're only trailing by 10. So they have a shot in this game. Unfortunately, the Commanders don't have a shot this season. After the 28-20 loss, they never had a shot before the game. People that even brought that up, I was like, what are you talking about? Be quiet, right? But at 4-10 now, you're in danger of really going 4-13 and finishing out the season with the number of 3 or 4 pick in the draft. You're at 4 right now, and Arizona's going to continue to fight. I wouldn't be shocked if they won another game. The Patriots are going to continue to fight. They put up a fight against Kansas City today. I wouldn't be shocked if they won another game. And then you start looking at the schedule game. You start playing the schedule game at this point. So we'll see what happens with the Jets next week and how that game goes. Where does this leave Sam? Another poor performance. More questions, like somebody said earlier, more questions than answers at this point with Sam. You're getting closer to the top of the draft. Again, you're not helping yourself. Sam wants to ensure that they don't get a quarterback next year. You need to win a ball game or two down the stretch. And it doesn't necessarily have to be because of your play. It just needs to happen. But the more you lose, the easier it is for them to replace you. And that's where it seems like we're heading. But again, the people that will be making that decision aren't currently here right now. So we don't even know what is going to transpire. Anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Watch the rest of this game. Hopefully you'll join me for Sunday Night Football overtime. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for the CNN. Until then, you guys know what it is. Post up. Take command. Take care. God bless. Have a good one.